Okay, 915D2, which I've had in the bag now for probably 7 months. It's 9.5 degree of loft, and the setting that I currently use is D3. I like the design of having the recoil channel in the undersole section. Reason being, I've always been against teeing it up very high. In this instance, if I hit it slightly lower on the face, I don't lose any speed. So therefore, I maintain all my ball speed. I get my maximum distance. I test both, and it's a numbers game. As pros, what we do is generally with the machines and the technology that we have, we try and fit so we get the perfect spin rate for the perfect launch angle of how you want to hit it. Unless I, get 2600 spin, they're the numbers that I like. Again, other people, certain players that hit it harder will like even less spin than that. So tailoring your equipment to your specific ball flight and spin number that you want is the only way really to get the maximum out of your club. So we all go through the similar process. Looks are an issue, but you know what? The fact that all the Titleist equipment looks good anyway, it's easy to be able to fit into the right clubs. I've got 915F 3 wood. I've got this in a 15 degree loft setting, and it's set up in a C4 configuration here. Now, the reason it's set up in C4 and the reason for 15 degree loft, I'm looking to carry the 3 wood 260. So had I have had to have changed the settings to either add a couple of yards or take a couple off, then I would have done. But for me, C4 is the right setting for me to carry this 260. I asked Chris Tooten over in the States, I said, can you send me a 3 wood? I said, I'd like to test it. So he sent me this 3 wood. And that's the 3 wood, and the only 3 wood that I've ever tested. And it's perfect. So that's the process that I went through to get my 3 wood. It's the only one I've hit and it works. So, rather than, lots of manufacturers where you have to go through lots of different heads, to be honest, that's the only one I've been sent. I have got an exact replica backup of it, just in case something happens to it or the bag doesn't turn up at a tournament, but that's the only head I've had. And this is, on my driver, this is a second head. So in 6 months, this is the second head that I've tested. And again, I was very, very happy with the numbers. The first driver I've got is actually my backup driver. We always like, as pros, we like to have equipment as backup. So we like to have a spare set, again, just in case bags get lost on flights or something happens. So the first driver I tested is now my backup, and this is the second head, and this is the gamer. So I used 2 hybrids. You're going to see 3 in the bag right now, but this one is what I'm testing right now for US Open and the Open Championship. So there's a two hybrid there. 915 HD. My 3-iron setting is D4, and the head is 20.5 degrees of loft. So I was looking for 235 yard carry with a 3-iron. So I went from a 3-iron to a 4-iron, and I was after 220 yards of carry with that club. So I've got same head, 915 HD 4, 23.5 loft, and this one's set up in D4. So I'm after 220 to get then to 235. So I've got a 15 yard gap there. I carry my 5-iron 204 yards. So the gap between 5, 4 and 3 is very even. And then it stretches just a tiny bit then, obviously, for a 3 wood that flies 260. It's not necessarily the rough that's the big factor for me in the reason why I use hybrids. It's the simple fact that I get extra height, I can get the maximum carry, but I actually get the ball stopping on the green quicker than I can a 4-iron. It's simple. I've done some testing with a 4-iron. It carries, a standard 4-iron carries for me about 215. Because I use the hybrid version, it carries 220. So I get 5 yards extra of carry, but the ball stops a lot faster. Well, you need to work with the options of, you know, making your hybrid slightly stronger and weaker, because these clubs are very versatile. You can hit them from any kind of a lie. You can hit them in, you know, in the rough or from the fairway or bunkers, but you need to make sure you've got, you know, as you said, the gap in right. So, you know, for me, it was all about making sure that I had the even consistency in the gaps from a 5-iron blends into a 4 hybrid, that blends into a 3 hybrid. You know, I could have set these up in a different configuration to hit them further, but I didn't want that. You know, my gaps are perfect the way they are, and I'm happy to dial these into 220 and 235.